From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Ottawa and Alberta have signed a memorandum of understanding to work toward building an oil pipeline to the west coast. But Federal Energy and Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson says it's premature for anyone to draw conclusions about the removal or adjustment to the standing West Coast tanker ban. Hoping to tamp down some of the concerns, Hodgson's office says they've requested a meeting with coastal First Nations, which represents nearly a dozen First Nations along the BC coastline. Meanwhile, a longtime Liberal cabinet minister is resigning from Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet, saying key elements of the country's climate action plan are being dismantled.
Stephen Guilbeault says he entered politics to champion the fight against climate change, but Prime Minister Mark Carney's memorandum of understanding with the Alberta government on pipelines is something he cannot support. Guilbeault was an environmental activist when he joined Justin Trudeau's government in 2019. As Environment Minister, he was the chief defender of the contentious consumer carbon price. Back in January, he was also one of the first members of cabinet to support Carney's Liberal leadership bid. He became Minister of Culture and Canadian Identity and Official Languages after the spring election. Guilbeault says he's staying on as a Liberal Member of Parliament. Sarah Ritchie, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
Canada's push to enhance its military capabilities is also sparking a race to snag some of the jobs that could come with it. Ontario's Economic Development Minister Vic Fedeli has been traveling abroad to secure defense-related industrial development for his province. Now, that province is home to Ontario Shipping and roughly 300 defense companies. It also boasts a large aerospace industry. Craig Stone, an expert in defense economics, says Fedeli and his counterparts in other provinces would be looking to provide foreign companies with information about Canadian firms with which they could partner. Heavy snow is coming to parts of central Ontario with as much as 60 centimeters in some areas. Environment Canada says the biggest snowfall amounts could blanket northeastern Ontario, lasting into Saturday. The Weather Office also says the big storm could make the Friday drive much more challenging than usual, with poor visibility and slick roads. Thousands of Hydro One customers were without power as of Thursday. And finally, there is some new research out there shining a light on the true history of our furry feline friends.
For years, it's been thought domesticated cats came to Europe 6,000 years ago with early farmers. But now scientists say that timeline's wrong by several thousand years. Researchers studied ancient cat bones and used DNA and discovered those early cats were actually European wildcats. The true domesticated cats, which came from African wildcats, didn't show up until Roman soldiers took them along on their journeys about 2,000 years ago. The Romans likely keeping cats around because they kept rodents away. Dave Packer, ABC News.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, let's start this update with the NFL. Dak Prescott throwing for 2 touchdown passes as the Dallas Cowboys posted a 31-28 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cincinnati Bengals clawed their way to a 32-14 win over the Baltimore Ravens, and Jordan Love matched a career-high 4 touchdown tosses in a single game as the Green Bay Packers topped the Detroit Lions 31-24. Meanwhile, Thursday's celebration of American Thanksgiving left the NHL and the NBA actionless. And finally, back home and out east, hometown favorite Christina Black of Halifax is moving on to the women's best-of-3 finals at Canada's Olympic Trials. Black upsetting Gimli, Manitoba's Carrie Anderson 6-3 in the semis. Meanwhile, Matt Dunstone's Winnipeg curling team is advancing with a 9-5 semi-win over Mike McEwen's Saskatoon foursome. Dunstone will now face Brad Jacobs' team from Calgary in the best-of-3 men's final. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.